Sonny, Fraser, and Gregor stood motionless, looking down in uneasy silence. What happened to Benny didn't come as a shock, but it was still a hard thing to digest. An ominous feeling settled in their hearts. Seeing the broken body of their companion, it was too easy to imagine one of them sharing the same fate. No one knew what to say. After a minute or so, Fraser finally sighed. "It's a good thing that you took most of the supplies he had been carrying."
A bit heartless, but not wrong,
Sonny thought, giving the older slave a careful look. Fraser frowned, realizing that his mask of a kind-hearted gentleman had slipped for a second, and hurriedly added in a somber tone, "May you rest in peace, my friend." Sonny was not convinced of his empathy, but saw no benefit in voicing his skepticism. Sonny had never believed in his benevolent act. Every kid from the outskirts knew that people who acted kind for no reason were the ones to be most wary of. They were either fools or monsters. Fraser didn't seem like a fool, so Sonny became cautious of him from the moment they met. He got this far by being a mistrustful cynic, and there was no reason to change now. Gregor cast one last look down. "We have to go." His voice was even, but Sonny could feel a well of emotion behind it. He just couldn't tell what that emotion was. Fraser sighed and turned away too. Sonny stared at the bloodied rocks for a few more seconds.
Why do I feel so guilty?
He thought, bewildered by this unexpected reaction.
He got what he deserved.
A little unsettled, Sonny turned around and followed his two remaining companions. Just like that, they left Benny behind and continued to climb. At this altitude, traversing the mountain was getting harder and harder. The wind was slamming into them with enough force to throw a person off balance if they were not careful, making every step seem like a gamble. The air was becoming too thin to breathe. Due to the lack of oxygen, Sonny was starting to feel dizzy and nauseated. It was as though they were all slowly suffocating. Altitude sickness was not something one could overcome with effort. It was subtle and overbearing at the same time, affecting the strong and the weak, with no regard to their fitness and endurance. If their luck was bad, an elite athlete could succumb to it faster than a random passerby. It was just a question of your body's innate aptitude and adaptability. Lucky individuals were able to get over it after experiencing mild symptoms. The others were sometimes crippled for days or weeks, suffering from all kinds of torturous side effects. Some even died. As though all that wasn't bad enough, it was getting colder too. The warm clothes and fur weren't enough to keep the chill at bay anymore. Sonny felt simultaneously feverish and freezing, cursing every decision he had made in his life to end up here. This mountain was not a place for humans, and yet they had to go on. A few hours passed. Despite everything, the three survivors continued to struggle forward, slowly moving higher and higher. Wherever that old path Fraser had talked about was, by now, it couldn't have been far. At least that's what Sonny was hoping for. But at some point, he started to doubt if the path even existed. Maybe the older slave lied. Maybe the path was long ago destroyed by the ravages of time. Maybe they had already missed it without even noticing. Just as he was about to fall into despair, they finally found it. It was weathered and narrow, barely enough for two people to walk side by side. The path wasn't paved, but rather cut from the black rock by some unknown tool or magic, winding its way up the mountain like the tail of a sleeping dragon. Here and there, it was hidden beneath the snow, but most importantly, it was flat. Sonny had never been that happy to see something flat in his life. Without saying a word, Fraser dropped his rucksack and sat down. He was deathly pale, gasping for air like a fish out of water. Despite that, there was a slight grin on his face.
Told you.
Gregor gave him a nod and looked around. A few seconds later, he turned back to the triumphant slave.
Stand up. It's not time to rest yet.
Fraser blinked a few times, then glanced at him with pleading eyes.
Just give me a few minutes.
The young soldier was going to retort, but Sonny suddenly put a hand on his shoulder. Gregor turned to face him.
What is it?
Sonny gestured down, back the way they came.
It's gone.
Gregor shook his head in confusion.
What is gone?
A hint of frustration rose in Sonny's voice.
Benny's body. It's gone.
Fraser and Gregor seemed to have grasped the situation. Simultaneously, they moved to the edge of the stone path and looked down, trying to spot the place where Benny had met his end. Indeed, the splattering of blood could still be seen on the jagged rocks, but the corpse itself was nowhere to be found. Fraser flinched back and crawled as far away from the edge as he could. The young soldier also backed away, instinctively grabbing the handle of his sword. The three of them exchanged tense looks, clearly understanding the implication of Benny's disappearance.
It's the monster,
Fraser said, even paler than before.
It's following us.
Gregor gritted his teeth.
You're right. And if it is that close, we will inevitably be forced to fight it soon.
The idea of fighting the tyrant was as frightening as it was preposterous. He might as well have said that they will all be dead soon. The truth of it was painfully clear to both Sonny. But the older slave, surprisingly, did not look panicked. Instead, he lowered his gaze and quietly said,
Not necessarily.
Gregor and Sonny turned to him, all ears. The young soldier raised an eyebrow.
Explain.
Fraser sighed.
The beast had traced us this far in just a day. That means that there are two most probable possibilities. Either it is smart enough to realize where we are going, or it is following the scent of blood.
After a bit of thinking, Gregor nodded, agreeing with this logic. The older slave smiled slightly and continued.
Whether it is one or the other, we can throw him off our trail and buy some time.
Gregor's brows knit together.
How do we do that?
Despite the urgency in Gregor's voice, Fraser hesitated and remained silent. Gregor deepened his voice to sound more authoritative.
Why are you not answering? Speak.
The older slave sighed again and slowly, as though against his will, answered. Sonny had been waiting for this moment for a while now.
We'll just have to make the boy bleed. Drag him down the path, then leave him there as bait and go up instead. His sacrifice will save our lives.
Sonny winced.
And there it is.
If Sonny wasn't mad, and scared witless, of course, he would have smiled. His judgment, it seems, was eerily on point. Affirmation was always nice, but not in the situation where being right also meant potentially being used as monster bait. He remembered how Fraser spoke back when Benny was campaigning to have Sonny killed. His protestations, which seemed compassionate, proved to be only strategic and revealed his sinister nature. Sonny narrowed his eyes.
What a...
He knew it all depended on whether or not Gregor would decide to follow through with Fraser's plan. The young soldier blinked, astonished.
What do you mean, make him bleed?
Fraser shook his head.
It's simple. If the monster knows where we are going, we have no choice but to abandon our plans to reach the mountain pass and go over the peak of the mountain instead. If the monster is following the scent of blood, we have to use one of us as bait to mislead it.
Fraser paused, waiting for Gregor's agreement, but the young soldier continued staring.
Fraser did his best to tamp down the growing frustration and sound erudite. Only by leaving a bleeding man further down the path can we reliably avoid the pursuit, no matter how it is tracking us.
Gregor stood motionless, his eyes jumping between Fraser and Sonny. After a few seconds, he asked,
"How can you bring yourself to propose something so vile?"
The older slave masterfully pretended to look aggrieved and somber.
"Of course, it pains me. But if we do nothing, all three of us will die. This way, at least the boy's death will save 2 lives. The gods will reward him for his sacrifice."
Sonny could feel his breathing grow heavier. This was the end for him. If Fraser tried to take him in a fight, Sonny stood some chance. But if both his companions turned on him, he was doomed. He tried to say something, tried to protest Fraser's plan, but his mouth was dry. Sonny couldn't find the words to argue against the wicked plot. He could think of any evidence that these men should sacrifice themselves for him, because the truth was, Fraser was right. For 2 of them to survive, 1 had to die. And nothing Sonny said would change that. A look of concern and confusion sat on Gregor's face. He opened his mouth to speak, but closed it again, hesitating. The fact the young soldier wasn't protesting any longer could only mean one thing. He was seeing Fraser's point. In a minute, he'd justify the murder, and the duo would descend upon him. Why wouldn't he? This man wasn't some noble hero, not really. Gregor had been fine escorting slaves. Why should he care if Sonny lives or dies? Sonny sunk his feet into the snow and found firm grounding. He balled his fists up at his side. If they were going to kill him, he was going down fighting.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.